Okay, everybody, we are now going to talk about the link between agriculture and the food industries and the food industry and its relationship and link with travel. Did you know, and surveys show us this, that for every €5, for example, that a traveller spends on a winery, when they visit a winery, they spend €50 in the local economy. That money translates to €50 in the local economy. It's a relationship between travel and agriculture that could be so beneficial to both sides. But guess what? There are problems. We're back to the issue of sectors not collaborating very well, and therefore there being problems with that. And we're going to explore that right now with two thought leaders who have roadmaps really as to how to make agritourism succeed at scale. So let me please invite onto the stage Mélanie Tisney-Versailles, who is the Delegate Councillor Agritourism Region, for agritourism, the region of Occitania. Hello Mélanie, how are you? I'm sorry about, did I pronounce your name okay? Thank you. And then can I also please welcome to the stage Feđa Begović. He's a development expert from Bosnia and Herzegovina. He's got a fan club there. He's been working on a USAID funded project in trying to integrate farmers and food producers in the tourist chain. So these guys know what they're talking about, but they are also facing problems. So let's deal with that. It could be, and I'm going to use this term, Mélanie advisedly, it could be such a fertile area, couldn't it? It could be, this collaboration between agriculture and tourism could be. What is the issue in this region that you are finding?
Hello, everyone. So first of all, I would like to come back on the definition. On the definition of agritourism. So if you Google it, you will find the following definition. It's tourism, which tourists stay in countryside with local people, which is, in my opinion, an incorrect definition. It's not local people, it's farmers. Mm-hmm. Agritourism, it's about tourism in a farm. Mm-hmm. And it's about the relationship between urban citizens and farmers. And I think this is a key point. Yep. So the first issue, so maybe you don't know, but in Occitanie, the average of the revenue is €1,000 per month for a farmer.
So it's really poor wage.
It's less than €1,000. Yep. And we are not only living an extinction of biodiversity, but also an extinction of farmers. Mm-hmm. Because in the 10 years to come, we are going to lose 50% of them because they are going to retire. So that's a main problem. And we built in the past our agritourism program with the key player of tourism and not with the farmers. So from now, we are starting building our program, including the farmers. And there are a lot of key players in agritourism who work in their own side, and so we are putting them around the same table and to try to find a common strategy. So that's our first.
So the fact is, Mélanie, is that agricultural labourers, farmers, could earn a lot more money if they embraced agritourism, if they got involved in that. It'd be good for them. But you point out one thing, which is that there is urban and rural, there is a split. There's mistrust, isn't there, between the two sides, méfiance, yeah, between the two sides, because the farmers don't really understand what it is about. I think it's just a lack of comprehension on both sides. Can you elaborate on that? Why don't they understand each other? What's going on there?
Well, they don't understand each other because 100 years ago, we all have grandparents who were farmers, and it's not the case anymore because there are only 5% of people now who are farmers. So we don't have the link with them anymore. So agritourism is an answer for that. And also, farmers are not proud anymore about their job. And as a politician, it's our job to make them to be proud of it. So we have to help them, to finance them, especially the farmers who improve their business model and the way of making their job more environmentally, in a very good environmentally way.
Yep.
And to help them to not to be proud in a way of not making a Disneyland farm, and to be proud of what they are. So don't dress it up and show it what it is.
Okay, we will talk in shortly. We haven't got much time, but we will talk about what we think are the ways forward in trying to make that situation better. But Feja, let's talk about Bosnia-Herzegovina, because you are now involved in that. And this is a big drive now to get local farmers, agricultural people, to be involved in tourism. Can you explain a little bit about your story and what you're doing?
Yes, thank you, Rajan. So there is a small region of Bosnia called Herzegovina, or a small part of the country called Herzegovina, which was recently inscribed as a cultural route of the Council of Europe as Herzegovina Wine Route. And like you said, there's more to the wine route than just the wine itself. And one of the experiences we wanted to show in that region are the farmers, are the agricultural producers, food producers across the region. And we basically started from the disconnect that Melanie was talking about between urban and rural. I found a French research that says that 80% of the wine tourists are actually from urban areas. And nowadays, with the disconnect, between the two, it's becoming something of an exotic experience for them to see some farmers in the field and just to learn about how they live, how they produce the food that we eat every day, that we typically buy in the supermarket without knowing how it was made and where it comes from. Let me tell you a little experience that I had recently. There was a big VIP delegation coming from the United States to Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we are talking about CEO, vice presidents of the company that has 5,000 people. We decided to take them to a small beekeeper in the southern Herzegovina, close to Dubrovnik. And they were amazed when this guy started opening beehives and explaining them the role of the queen bee and of the bees individually, and talking about honey and propolis and other products. Before that, he gave them a story about how he started with this just from reading a book about beekeeping. He was so fascinated. And he said, I'll go buy some beehives, and his wife wanted to kill him. And now his whole family is basically living from this. They have 200 beehives. And when the visitors come to their place, he tells them a story about how he started, how he was an engineer working in a factory, but he wanted to do something else, and how now he enjoys every day of doing this. And then he talks about the products, and then his wife brings the honey cake and some, honey with chocolate or something, and there's some honey brandy and other products that they're proud of. And suddenly you have this 1 hour experience that completely takes you to a new world. As consumers today, we tend to just grab something from the shelf and put it in the basket and come home, make something. You don't think about your food. So I think there's huge potential in connecting the travelers from many types of tourism to food producers, because we all have to eat. We all start the day with some food, we end the day with some food. And agriculture has this huge potential to offer something that's translated into a wonderful and memorable experience.
So let's then look at the slight barriers to making this work really well. Number one is, do you think that the farmers themselves totally understand the tourism model well enough, or are you having to teach them about that?
There has to be a lot of teaching. So, and not only for farmers. I've been in the agricultural sector for about 15 years, and I've been in the tourism sector for only about 3 years. I see a lot of touching points, but I also see a lot of misunderstandings, and I see a lot of need to bring the two together and to help them to work together. Farmers, especially if you know what Melanie said, is the case in Bosnia. I don't even want to say the number of their monthly income is really, it's like 500 euros is huge. And for them, you cannot expect that they have a formal training or capacity to offer a strong tourism experience. Somebody needs to tell them these things. They don't speak English in many cases. They don't know how to set up card payment, how to offer wireless to their guests, provide parking, enable toilet. These are not the things that they're thinking about. So they need a lot of guidance, but also the tourism industry needs a lot of guidance in terms of understanding the potential behind the agricultural product as a tourism experience. So just to give you some background, I work for USAID, United States Agency for International Development, which is sponsoring the project for tourism development in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So one of the things that we do is that we bring the tourism industry to the field to meet the food producers, to show them what kind of experiences they can sell, and then we work with both sides to make sure that travelers, including wine tourists, can actually book this and come and spend half a day or so at a certain location. So there must be a lot of work done with the farmer.
Melanie, we had a conversation before, and you compared the situation here with farmers and agritourism with Tuscany. And basically, well, contrast rather than compare, because for you, Tuscany is a good example of where it works. Can you tell me why it's so much better in Tuscany than here? What's the difference?
Well, first of all, it's because they put the farmers in the middle of the program. In the center. Secondly, it's, they didn't help them only with a financial aspect, but also to help them to design the farm and to help them with the architecture, to help them with the business model. And that's our role as a politician, is not only to help them to finance the model, but to help them to make it work. So I think that's why we are a little bit late in France. It's because we need to have a global program and not only a financial program. Yeah,
it's strange in a way, isn't it? Because the branding of France is so much about it's and it's rural, amazing, and it's wine and all that stuff. When you think of France, that's what you think about, and yet that is not. Still not. I mean, are we talking about the whole of France or just Occitanie? Do you think here? By the way, are there areas of France that are doing it well?
I think it's the case for the whole France, but I know that some area do a really good job, like Brittany, for example. But no, it's a general.
And you're saying that politicians should be helping this situation. So what are you doing now? What's happening now? How are we helping for this area to catch up with Tuscany and other areas?
Well, as I said before, we first of all put all the actors around the table.
Right.
And then secondly, we finance farmers which develop model by welcoming tourism. And we are looking also to work with architectures to make the farm very welcoming for tourism. So we think in a large aspect.
Feja, you could argue that in some ways Bosnia, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but Bosnia, and I've been to Bosnia and Herzegovina, but it's a relatively young country in terms of tourism. Agritourism could actually be one of the defining features of tourism to Bosnia, couldn't it? This is, in a way, a great opportunity, right?
So exactly, I see us as a culinary destination, and it is a new emerging tourism destination. I can test this easily. How many of you have been to Bosnia and Herzegovina? I'll say 3%, not even 3. Well, there's not 100 people in the room and 3
And this is a
people
well-travelled
residents.
audience, to be fair. It's
Yeah.
an unusual
So-
audience.
And you know, in terms of developing the tourism in our country, we're never going to be a mass tourism destination. We don't want to be a mass tourism destination. We take pride in the nature that we have, which connects well with the adventure product that we are sort of developing. We have a rich cultural heritage. To give you an anecdote, a friend of mine from my childhood, when I told him I'm going to be speaking in France about winemaking in Bosnia and the agritourism, he laughed at me and he said, most French don't even think there is winemaking in Bosnia and they don't know about it. And it's true, and we need to do a lot to promote it. But in terms of promotion that we are going to do for the country as a destination, this is exactly the area that we want to showcase. So food and gastrotourism and wine tourism, we see our chance there. It's sort of small destination where you come to experience, to meet people. My dear friend Dragana this morning said people will hug you when you get there, and you will be surprised with the richness of the offer of the destination. But I think you will most easily connect with the food experience, because that's so common to everyone. No matter where you come from, you will be able to just jump in and experience the culture through food.
And surely the missing link as well here is local hotels, local restaurants showcasing the food, the wine, whatever, from their local region. Is that happening enough, or could that be improved as well, do you think? Melanie, either of you, both of you. Melanie, go on.
Yeah, it starts to improve already, but we need to make more effort for making a link between farm and restaurants and events. But it's also a logistic problem, because the restaurant has to go to one farm for this kind of product and another farm for this kind of product. So we also have to develop logistic platform for helping the restaurant and all the tourism key players to make business with farmers.
Improve the distribution network, all that, and integrate everything together. Sorry, Fedja, last word on that?
Same here. I mean, there are some great examples, but they are still just the examples. It's not a common sort of approach, and some hotels really take the extra effort to put a small display on the table and say, this is the cheese from so and so, or this is the local honey, or this is the local jam, or try this juice, or try this rakia, or try this wine. But so much more can be done, because when I travel, I try to immerse with every new destination, and I don't want to be eating Bosnian food when I go to France. I can find it, but it's not something I'm, eager to eat. And I feel that most of the tourists want to do the same. There is some uncertainty in terms of, food safety. When you go to a new destination, you're somewhat concerned if you're going to get some food poisoning, if you're not sure where you're buying food. But I think, at the level of hotels and at the level of local restaurants, you should be prioritizing local food, and you should be making an extra effort to promote it. So we have some good examples. By the way, there are some brochures that I was not allowed to bring in. But when you leave the room, you feel free to grab this wine route brochure or the small blue brochure that we also mentioned this morning to learn more about these examples.
Thank you. I think this is a fascinating subject. I think there's so much, as I said before, so much potential here, and I hope that you both get through the obstacles that are there, that are preventing you from proceeding. But,
just maybe one more point, because I talked a lot about farmers, but also agritourism is a good way to learn how to slow down as tourism. I don't know if you saw the movie La Gloire de mon Père in France. I don't know what's the title in English, but it's about a movie 50 years ago where a family stay in a farm, in a house for months. And I think agritourism help you to slow down and to stay in one place for months and to discover the way of life and to learn how to make small pleasure in life. So I think it's a very good way.
If I can close on the same
Yeah.
sort of example, we have a slow food movement in Bosnia, which we picked up from Italy, and Bosnians and Herzegovinians, of course, loved it, and our tourists love it because it really gives you a chance to just experience what a normal everyday life with a Bosnian family is. So we've supported the trails of honey and trails of cheese in Trebinje region in the southern part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we are getting wonderful reactions from the guests. In this case, the travel agency is facilitating this linkage. But just like Melanie said, to experience the slow type of life that we are all, I got up at 6 a.m. this morning. I'm sure everyone here doesn't get enough sleep. And we usually grab some food like on the go. And with these families that we sort of try to put in the forefront of tourism product, we show you how they live on a daily basis. We show you how much time they take to prepare food, how much time they take to enjoy food, and then they explain you how they make this food and how their everyday life looks like. And I think there's great potential in promoting this as a great tourism experience and a tourism product for a small country such as Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you.
And improving the quality of our own lives while we do it. Absolutely. Can you put your hand together, please, for Melanie and Feja? Thank you.